Robot and Zombie. The unsettling yet commercially viable strategy of extracting flowers from quiet graves for Valentine's Day sales in Connecticut. It was a crisp spring morning in Connecticut, the kind that makes you want to sip coffee on a porch and breathe in the fresh scent of blooming flowers. The air was fragrant with the scent of early blooming lilacs and freshly mowed grass, but in the sleepy town of Brightwater, trouble was always lurking just beneath the surface. And today, as the town prepared for Valentine's Day, that trouble was named Robot and Zombie. Robot, a short, wiry mechanical figure dressed in a black obituary t-shirt and baggy ripped jeans, was pacing back and forth on the cracked steps of the town cemetery. His flannel shirt, tied carelessly around his waist, flapped in the wind like the tattered flags of some defeated kingdom. He adjusted his black beanie with a flourish, glanced over at Zombie, his shambling, decaying counterpart, and smirked. Zombie, dressed in an old Slayer concert tee with a black beanie that barely covered his greasy, shoulder-length hair, stood hunched next to a grave, absent-mindedly poking at the dirt with his boot. Every now and then, he'd try to fit Robot's head in his mouth, but Robot was quick to dodge. "All right, Z," Robot barked, slapping Zombie's arm to get his attention. "I got a plan, a money-making scheme that'll have the entire town eating out of the palm of my hand." He paused for dramatic effect. "Flowers. We're gonna sell flowers for Valentine's Day." Zombie grunted and stared blankly at Robot. "Not just any flowers, you idiot. These are premium, handcrafted, artisanal flowers," Robot sneered, then added in a low whisper, "From the cemetery." Zombie groaned, his one response to everything. Robot, ignoring Zombie's lack of enthusiasm, continued, "People are stupid. You give 'em something sentimental like, 'Oh, these flowers came from a grave,' and they'll shell out cash like there's no tomorrow. It's all about the spin, baby. Trust me, Z, I'm a marketing genius." With that, Robot led Zombie to the edge of the cemetery, where rows of graves lay undisturbed under the shade of towering oak trees. The gravestones stood like silent sentinels, each one adorned with long-forgotten bouquets, wilted roses, lilies, carnations, all waiting for Robot to swoop in. The two began to gather as many flowers as they could. Robot, quick and methodical, yanked bouquets from graves without a second thought, tossing them into a plastic bin. Zombie, on the other hand, shuffled slowly, plucking a flower here and there, occasionally pausing to drool over a particularly fresh-looking grave marker. As the sun climbed higher, Robot finally surveyed their haul. A mishmash of slightly decayed blooms, some still clinging to life, others barely recognizable. He rubbed his hands together, eyes gleaming. "Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, we just gotta find a place to sell 'em." He eyed the picturesque town square, lined with quaint shops, bustling cafes, and locals who looked like they just stepped out of a L.Bean catalog. It was exactly the kind of place that would fall for his scam. Robot and Zombie set up their flower shop in the corner of the square. Their display was a haphazard arrangement of old crates, trash bags, and, naturally, the stolen flowers. Robot scribbled a sign in marker, "Valentine's Day flowers, rare, one of kind." Almost immediately, Cathy, a local teen with a sharp tongue and a penchant for rebellion, strolled by. She wore her usual sarcastic smirk, glancing between Robot and Zombie. "Are you actually selling cemetery flowers?" she asked, incredulous. Robot straightened up. "Yeah, handpicked, local, and, organic." He folded his arms, proud of his pitch. "You want some for your boyfriend or whatever. I'll give you a discount since I like ya." Cathy snorted. "You're disgusting, Robot." "Hey, Zombie." She waved half-heartedly at the Zombie, who responded with a gurgling noise and attempted, once again, to fit her head in his mouth. Cathy dodged easily, shaking her head with an amused sigh. She lingered for a moment, clearly more interested in Zombie than Robot's scam, but eventually wandered off when Robot started making lewd jokes. As Robot continued his aggressive sales tactics, Vanessa and Cindy, two more local girls, stopped by. Vanessa, always the emotional one, had her eye on Zombie and couldn't help but flirt shamelessly with him, while Cindy stood with her arms crossed, glaring at Robot. Seriously, flowers from a cemetery? Cindy's voice dripped with disdain. Hey, these are relics, okay? Robot snapped back. They're full of memories, sentiment. People pay big bucks for that kind of thing. He waved his hand dismissively. But clearly you wouldn't get it. Cindy huffed. You're a menace to this town, Robot. It's a wonder they haven't kicked you out yet. Robot grinned widely, leaning forward. Oh, they've tried. Believe me, they've tried. Just as Robot was about to launch into another self-congratulatory rant, the local police officer, Officer Bradford, approached. He was tall, stern, and clearly not in the mood for any of Robot's antics. Robot, Officer Bradford began, his voice flat. We've had complaints that you're stealing flowers from the cemetery. Robot's smirk didn't falter. Stealing? No, officer. We're, recycling. Reducing waste. You know, eco-friendly and all that. He made a sweeping gesture toward the flowers. It's practically a public service. Officer Bradford wasn't buying it. You have 5 minutes to pack this up and get out of here, or I'll be booking you for public nuisance, theft, and vandalism. Robot shrugged, glancing at Zombie. Well, Z, looks like the man's keeping us down again. He turned back to Officer Bradford, still grinning. But we'll leave. Don't want to cause a scene or anything. With that, Robot and Zombie packed up their meager stand, leaving behind the wilted remains of their scheme. As they slunk back toward the cemetery, Robot grumbled under his breath. I swear, Z, this town is full of idiots who don't recognize brilliance when they see it. Next time, we're going to hit the big leagues. I'm talking real money. This was just a warm-up. Zombie groaned in response, his only form of agreement, and as the sun began to set over the peaceful town of Brightwater, Robot was already plotting his next harebrained scheme, ready to wreak havoc once again.